Calling all entrepreneurs, get ready because it's 2017 and the Pulse is back in full effect. And guess what? You need to pay attention. Calling all entrepreneurs. It's Economic Development Week in Prince George's County. The only show in town dedicated to helping Prince George's County businesses. Hello, I'm Denise Roberts, and welcome to The Pulse, the only show in town dedicated to helping Prince George's County businesses. Listen up, we've got a very important guy in the house, and you need to hear what he's got to say. Our guest today is Jim Dinegar, the President and CEO of the Greater Washington Board of Trade. Thank you so much for being here.
I was looking around. Thanks. I didn't know it was me.
Well, yeah, you're here, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So can you just tell us what is the Greater Washington Board of Trade?
Well, the Greater Washington Board of Trade is a collaborative group that works with all the other business organizations around the region, but we represent businesses on a regional basis. Northern Virginia, suburban Maryland, the District of Columbia. And in many respects, the biggest challenges and certainly the biggest opportunities for businesses around here are regional in nature. Think metro or cybersecurity. Some of the bigger opportunities are regional.
Okay, so what is the actual function of your organization?
Well, BIT being the voice, so there's advocacy, there's very good research as it relates to what's going on for facing businesses in the Greater Washington region, where we see some of the opportunities and those challenges to try and make those challenges go away. So to help get funding for Metro, to be able to work on the Purple Line so that we can get that approved and moving forward. The opportunities for moving people faster and better, because traffic is such a chokehold for this region. Cybersecurity is an emerging field. It's a wonderful opportunity, and we're competing with the likes of Silicon Valley, Austin, and Boston, but we've got a big upside if we work more collaboratively. Economic development, last but not least, if we can do it instead of two different states in the district, but as a regional approach, we'd actually be able to do more efficiently and go further.
Okay, so you're membership driven, right?
Absolutely.
So why is it important for businesses to get involved?
Well, businesses need a voice. They need a voice locally in Prince George's County. They need a voice statewide, so the Maryland Chamber. They need a voice regionally because a lot of people live in one part of the region, work in another, maybe even have kids that go to school in another. And so the dynamics of the Greater Washington region are different than any other region in the United States. We're two states, the District of Columbia and, of course, the federal government. And that's all a big outsized presence, but we don't really operate regionally. We operate like we're just in our specific jurisdiction, but for business, it's a porous border. We work all across it.
Okay, and should all businesses get involved, or, you know, larger versus smaller?
Well, typically with the Board of Trade, it's for the larger businesses that have a footprint that's regional in nature. And so if you're just the wonderful pie shop in Bowie, well, then that's great to be the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce or other business groups in Prince George's or in Bowie, for instance. But the larger you get, the bigger that footprint will, frankly, unless you're headquartered in Prince George's County, like 2U or 8 O'Clock Coffee, where that works very well for them, they also may have a regional effort, and that's where the Board of Trade comes in.
Okay. Where do you see the biggest growth in opportunities for businesses in this region?
Well, it's almost hard to say where the biggest growth is because there are so many different opportunities.
Okay.
Look, if the FBI comes out to Prince George's County, that's going to be a catalyst, not just for cyber and security work, but because it's a big sort of seal of approval to Prince George's County, and other businesses will follow. We see more in the growth of hospitality. We're home to Hilton hotels. We're home to, and I don't mean the hotels, I mean Hilton worldwide. Marriott Corporation, they just bought Starwood. You have Choice Hotels, Ritz-Carlton. They're all in the Greater Washington region. We can make more of being this hospitality capital. Nestle just announced that they were going to be moving here. They're a big chocolate company and the 4th largest food company in the world. And they're coming to the Greater Washington region, but Mars has already been here. How do you make more of some of the things we have? And that's where we see cyber. We see the growth opportunities associated with cyber as being nonstop issue of our time.
Okay, so you mentioned larger companies is where that's primarily where your membership comes from, right? How can what affects the larger companies impact the smaller companies? in terms of opportunities that are coming up in this area?
The partnerships are enormous. Most of those larger companies can't do it by themselves. Either the boots on the ground, the people in the specific communities that know the community best, those are the ones that you want to partner with. I think MGM's done a tremendous job down at National Harbor. First, National Harbor is made up of a lot of small businesses. MGM is not a small business, but when you look at all the restaurants in there, when you look at all of the different supporting elements, not just the Whiting-Turner great construction that they did, but all of the subs under it, it's just a series of small businesses working in tandem to be able to make the bigger businesses work well together. It's not all about the largest of the businesses, but they're in everywhere, right? The Accentures and the Price Waterhouse and the Bank of America, those are those larger businesses that are members of the Board of Trade, but they work in every community alongside the small businesses.
Okay, and you mentioned being a voice for the businesses, and since it is larger companies, what are the tangible benefits from for an organization to come and become a member of the Board of Trade?
Well, it's all across the board, but a lot of times it's an opportunity for a new company like a Nestle coming in that needs to meet people and get a sort of lay of the land and get connected very quick because there's a lot of work that needs to be done moving in from California to here, or MGM moving in from Vegas. And so we've certainly worked with the team regionally to be able to introduce them to the mayor in Washington, to talk about a dedicated bus lane from the district down to MGM. Things like that come through those types of connections. Business to business, people like to, they like to do business with people they know and like. Those would be the two criteria. And if we can help make that connection, then the relationship development is up to them. They're professionals about it. They do it very well, but we can set those tables.
So what's the best way for a smaller company or for smaller businesses to get connected to those larger companies?
Well, not to overbuy, right? So not to get out there and try to be everywhere for everybody all the time.
Okay.
Pick your lane, be very focused, but be at those meetings, be at those events, be relentless at being there, whether it's the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, whether it's the Maryland Chamber of Commerce, but pick your sort of area and your lane, and then be volunteering, roll up the sleeves, get on the committees, all of the elements like that. Within the Board of Trade, within the larger companies, it's hard to start at the Board of Trade. You sort of work your way through different committees and task forces. Subject matter experts are worth their weight in gold in any of the business groups.
Okay, let us leave it right there for 1 second, and we're going to come back to this conversation. But before we go to break, we are ramping up our family again, and beginning next month, we showcase our first Small Business Club Member of the Month for 2017. So if you would like to join our Small Business Club for a chance to showcase your business on this show, send an email with the link to your company website to sddd@co.pg.md.us, or send it to us on Twitter @PGCDiversity. And be sure to use the hashtag SmallBizClub. More with our guests when we come back.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to The Pulse. If you are just tuning in, we're talking with Jim Dinegar of the Board of Trade. You know, I want to just get into the fact that we have a new president, and I wanted to ask you do you think that, you know, right after the election, the stock market went up, right? So do you think that having a businessman that's now in office in this new administration, can that cause more of a positive impact for businesses going forward?
Well, it's hard on this one, Denise. It's really not a one-size-fits-all. I think there are expectations that there's going to be less regulations. I think that there's going to be a more business-like approach, taking a look at the agencies. But look, for the Greater Washington region, when you look at a freeze on the federal workforce, that's chilling to this region, and certainly Prince George's or Loudoun County and Fairfax and Arlington. When you look at some of the opportunities associated with business and getting things done, clearing out the red tape, our hope is that we have a negotiator-in-chief, and he seems to be a very hard negotiator, and we want that to be of benefit to the United States, and we hope there are opportunities for the Greater Washington region. Not a fan of being called the swamp by any stretch of the imagination. I think he needs to get better appreciation for what goes on in this region and the dedication of not only the federal workforce, but the people who take real pride in what they do to protect America, to certainly be patriots for America.
What are some of the legislative activities that businesses need to be paying attention to right now?
Well, you know, the less they do, the better we all are. I think that there's not really been a slew of laws that have been helpful to business, but there are regulations that are very important. There are safeguards that get put in place on regulations, not taking away anything like that. But the gumming up of things, the delays, the environmental impact statements that take forever, it could be moved along a whole lot faster. We see it with the Purple Line. There are certain things that need to move along that have dragged out for years and years and years, and it's very difficult to do business. It's very difficult to set your prices, to be able to figure out the costs. Rising interest rates will change that. The faster and better we can do things, the better off we'll all be.
Okay, and so what legislative activities is the Board of Trade going to be paying attention to?
Well, we're certainly pushing hard on the Purple Line, and we hope that that gets moving along very soon. We're hoping that that's probably just a few weeks away from the next decision, and that we're back on track with that. As it relates to in the region overall, we want to lower the taxes. We still need to lower the taxes, and it needs to be region-wide so that we're on much more of a level playing field. But I would say on the legislative side of things, there is less being done in the state houses in Maryland and Virginia, which is a good thing. The district has become pretty active. Federally, we need to figure out if there's going to be money on the infrastructure bill, and if so, we need it for the Purple Line. We certainly need it for Metro. We're looking at some other projects, but if there's going to be $1 trillion coming through the United States on infrastructure, and that's what the President's proposing, then we certainly need to have some of that put together for Metro. It moves so many of the federal workforce, and it's certainly important to the region.
And when we look at federal legislation, you know, we're talking about it from a 10,000-foot perspective. How does that trickle down and impact the small businesses?
Well, it will impact everybody.
Okay.
When you look at changes to the Affordable Care Act, it's going to cost people and the state of Maryland a significant amount. It could cost the District of Columbia a significant amount. And I don't mean the people as more rates and higher rates. All of that needs to be worked out, and so I don't know the answer there. But to the hits to the jurisdictions of Maryland and the district, it's going to come, and it's going to be expensive. So that's going to be a hit that businesses would have to take up some of that slack of the expenses, I expect. When you also look at the immigration issues, there are businesses that are having a great deal of work that they work with immigrant populations from all over the world. It's going to hit in the universities, and so University of Maryland or certainly Bowie State and out in all across. 2U is an online service that works to power the universities to reach people internationally and domestically online. So there's a growth opportunity. All of these different pieces are sorting out. There's a lot more coming on tax changes. We're waiting to see even more as it relates to NAFTA. The biggest trading partner for Virginia, and I think the largest trading partner for Maryland, is Canada. Well, we're going to need to dance with that one carefully.
Okay, okay. And you mentioned, you know, universities, education is big business.
Sure is.
It's big business on a local level as well as on a larger scale. Is it affecting the universities right now?
Oh, I think that it absolutely is. Okay. I think it's sending a chill through the universities, whether it's undocumented immigrants or it's people who have been here but their family is elsewhere, and so that there's a skittishness. And I think that we will see it next semester. After the summer, I think we'll see a drop in the international enrollment in the United States, partly because of the uncertainty. Who wants to come to school for a year and then not be able to return the next year? And then the other is I think we'll also see some real competition from other countries like Canada and Australia that will push for those international students to look to them first.
Jim Dinegar, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today, for taking the time to be here with us. And,
no, thank you for the invite.
And hopefully you'll come back on again sometime in the future.
It'd be a pleasure.
All righty. And that's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. This show and previous episodes are posted on our website, diversity.mypgc.us, and click on the Pulse. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at PGC Diversity, and our YouTube channel is The Pulse TV. If you have a business question that you'd like the answer to, send it to us on Twitter at PGC Diversity, and we'll answer it for you and mention your business on the show. And make sure to use the hashtag #AskThePulse. I'm your host, Denise Roberts, and remember, in Prince George's County, your success is our business.